Small business is a part of all of us each and every day. It's where we eat, it's where we shop, it's where we go to meet our friends and colleagues. In the wake of COVID-19, our small business community desperately needs our help. We must do our part to help our local communities to once again thrive. We must focus our attention on the small businesses that are the fabric of our great nation. SureUp is a network of small business owners, their employees, and local consumers all working in unison to support each other. By creating incentives for consumers to think local before considering regional and national providers to fulfill their needs, we create local job opportunities and rebuild our communities. In addition, through AI-driven tools and machine learning, in just 5 minutes a day, SureUp assists business owners in improving their social media presence, which enhances their visibility among consumers and levels the playing field so that local businesses can better compete with large, name-brand online competitors. When local businesses leverage the SureUp platform, full-time and part-time employees, whether W-2 or 1099, are rewarded with a variety of voluntary perks and member benefit options. These include discounts on the things people do every day, access to low-cost, subscription-based telehealth and teletherapy, discounted prescription drug plans, connection to exclusive Prosper resources, and so much more. All for less than the cost of a cup of coffee each day. The Jumpstart Marketplace is here to support the health and wellness of individual employees, as well as the health of businesses in the local communities in which we live and work. We're all in this together, so join us as we reinvigorate our local community and improve the physical and financial health of working America.
All right, folks, welcome back. And this is the Marketplace Reset Show. And this is our second segment on business, economy, and public policy, with a specific emphasis on the relationship between the United States and the Caribbean, and the rest of the region, of course. My colleague, Dr. Karen Green, is with us this afternoon, and I want to welcome Karen to the program, as usual. Karen, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Yourself? How are you doing?
Doing good. I'm really looking forward to, hopefully, we've resolved the technical glitches that created one of our guests who was unable to participate until the very end, right? Until we ended the program.
That's
so
great.
Hopefully we have them on the program. So how have you been?
I'm good. I must say it's been a very interesting week. Last week could see the changes that are happening across the globe. Some of the changes particularly that affected us, we'll talk more about that during our diplomacy conversations. But physically I'm well. I'm giving praise today that we're all here, across the Caribbean. And, this is the end of the month for African Heritage Month, as well as Reggae Month. I mean, my colors, my true African colors today, red, green, and gold, to give celebration for all the things that we celebrate as Black people.
It's interesting, right? Because I don't know if it's because of COVID or the pandemic we're in. I didn't realize there were so many different things we commemorate or we celebrate in February. It's like all of a sudden now there's a heightened sense, a consciousness of all these things that take place in February that I didn't know.
Well, I'm telling you, it's the shortest month, but we Black people get to maximize the benefits of it, right?
Oh, wait a minute. I can't resist what you just said there. Can we safely say February is the Black Month?
It really is. I mean, we got the short end of the 28 days of 29 when it's, every 4 years. We Black make every hour count, right? So, we have Reggae Month, we have Black Heritage Month, we have anything you can think of. African, Black, Gold, and Green, we're all in it together, brother.
But we get, like you said, we get a shortened month. I mean,
I'm telling you,
take a couple of days.
I'm telling you, we got taken for 3 days. You know. I tell you.
Oh gosh, I tell you, there's so much happening. I'm gonna be honest with you, right? And in being transparent, it's sort of information overload, if I can put it that way. There's so much happening, but it's coming at you from so many different directions, and you're just overwhelmed by it. But you're not seeing the change.
Wow.
You watch the news day in and day out. There's several news cycles, and it's just the repeating of the same news information. And I'm like, okay, if at the end of the day, all of this information that is just, coming from every direction you can think of, but it's not changing anything, what are we doing?
Well, you know what? It's interesting you're saying that, because the truth is, we now have, because of COVID, the horrible part of COVID is that we now get to see things up close and personal on more time that we have to endure, right? So we're seeing it. Particularly this week, for example, we were all excited, and we were excited about the changes of the new administration, one of which is the immigration portion that we had an attorney here a couple of weeks ago on our show. But yesterday we had a ruling coming out of Texas again that basically states that the 100 days moratorium on deportations that President Biden introduced, this judge ruled basically that it's unconstitutional. So even though this was happening, there were courts that were feeling a little more relaxed. There were immigration initiatives like DAPA and DACA, and just 11 million people across the United States who basically breathed a change of hope. But this morning, again, I haven't heard any responses to, how the Biden administration will respond to this. But the truth is, here is this person who, for immigrants, ironically, the Caribbean community, Central America and South America were the first to be deported during this process. I think there were like 15 Jamaicans who were deported in this immediate phase that happened within the last couple of weeks. So, there will have to be some actions taken. I'm excited that we have Anthony and Gwyneth on the show today, because you and I know, Anthony, having discussed this more than normal, there are in fact more problems happening in that region. I know that, there was in fact a presentation made in the end of last year with the Netherlands, talking to the United Nations, the ICJ, the International Courts of Justice, to basically determine the border initiatives, who owns which part of the sea coast, the oil coast of Venezuela and Guyana. So I'm excited to hear the conversations going forward, because I know those are some of the things we're going to have to be discussing, and just so much. But I was excited also, Anthony, where last week President Joe Biden had an opportunity to sit virtually for the Munich annual hearing for allied nations, where he basically used that pitch, America is back, to negotiate all of the things that we basically left out. Climate change, the missile negotiations, all the things that we didn't talk about, and the treaties that were probably, mostly suspended. We talked about last week that there were many countries that were left without representation appointed from the former administration. So yes, we will be taking this platform to see how best we can contribute. And for the same thing we talked about, the 100 days. Let's think about it. Immigrants, as many of us are, even though there are so many US citizens there, we talked about it last week, that as much as you were born in the US territories, your parents were from Caribbean nations as well. And so you find that even there in the US territories, many folks are still immigrants who live in these parts of the world. So I'm really looking forward to us continuing this dialogue, particularly within the Caribbean Basin Initiative and security, highlights. And I welcome this topic for sure.
Yeah, I got to tell you, this is, it's a long time in the making. And the agenda is enormous. If we're going to create parity, if we're going to create equity across the board, particularly for the Americas and the Caribbean. Why? Because we look at, while there are allies, we are allies with others across the world. At the same time, we see regional blocks of geopolitical cooperation, economic cooperation. And so therefore, we need to create a stronger region as it relates to the Americas and the Caribbean.
I couldn't agree with you more.
We can't continue to go down this path of disconnect. Every single country, territory, commonwealth need to understand they need to be at the table. They have a role to play. And they're taking a disjointed approach to how we tackle these issues. If we're going to make any progress, it's not a question if, but it's a question of we must work as a collective to address this problem.
And then to elaborate on that, I think it's not just the what, but also the how. People were drawn to the Caribbean territories for a few reasons. One, because of the resources we had historically. When folks were coming to the United States to do cotton, we had sugar in our region. When folks were going for, looking for other products, we had bananas. So we need to go back to the core of our values, right? We need to go back to our agricultural rewards. We need to go back to our climatic benefits of having a tropical experience every time. So it's not just tourism as it's the merits of the most beautiful beaches in the world are in the Caribbean. That's my position. Outside the Pacific, but we also need to go back to the value we have. The independent thinkers we have long been, the freedom fighters long before there were civic rights. There were the Maroons. There were the fighters in Haiti with Toussaint, the civil revolutionaries. So we need to get to a place where we apply our experiences, scholastic, agriculture, culture. We need to come to a place where we're not just branding what we offer, but what our space provides geographically and otherwise.
Let me say this, okay? And I'm not saying this I'm not saying it lightly. Here's the power that we have. We broadcast across the Americas and the Caribbean, okay? There are about 1 billion people in this region. When you look at collectively North America, Central America, and South America, and the Caribbean, that number, that population is about 1 billion. We hear so much about Asia and the explosive growth in Asia, both Asia and China respectively having 1 point something billion per country. But obviously, they're separate countries, right? So when you think of China by themselves, they're 1 point something billion, and then India's 1 point something billion. But these are separate countries. They are cooperation with each other in where there is mutual cooperation, but don't get it twisted. They're separate countries. So when you look at what and who are able to connect the region, we, Tempo, WSDX, the Callaloo Network, we are literally, when we're speaking to an audience, we're speaking to an audience throughout the United States on cable television every week, day in, day out, on a weekly basis. We're live on radio, and we were live streaming as well. So whatever your local cable provider is, you're able to get Tempo Television on your local cable provider. In the United States, Verizon, Fios, and Time Warner Cable. In Guyana and Suriname, I don't know what the cable company is there, but certainly you're able to watch it on television. But technology today allows us, because we are an OTT platform, we stream, and anyone that has the app, they're able to watch every program on the platform. And so just Tempo itself, you're talking about a couple million people. You're talking about 5 million eyeballs for the program. So we have the power, Karen, to really we have an awesome responsibility to educate, to inform, and really empower our audience to really understand the issue. And when we ask them, when they want to know what role they play, we have the power to be able to effectuate that change.
Well, I must say that, having joined this committee, this body, the truth is that there is in fact a reach. People are looking to see where we are and what reach what we're communicating, and what messages we have and what updates we have. Because I really believe that, you rightfully said it, collectively we're multi-nations, we have different languages, we have different European leadership. For example, the Netherlands is actually who's negotiating those treaties down in Guyana and for Venezuela. The truth is we still have places in our Dutch neighborhoods as well as in our French-speaking and English-speaking communities. So the reality is that we truly have a reach from this platform, as well as with our partners across the globe who are listening and wanting to know where we are, Anthony. And I trust we will continue to do just that, as we committed and promised we would. I also wanted to touch on another piece that we also need to recognize. The Caribbean community has one resource that is constant. And this morning I was speaking to a friend of mine in Europe who basically was looking at the pandemic and the reports coming out of the Caribbean region as to the how the virus is actually mutating and or spreading. And there's so much misinformation coming out of so many of our neighboring countries in the Caribbean. But the bottom line is that we have a resource that is untouched, which happens to be our sunlight. And I know that this administration is looking for clean energy and other initiatives. I really think I look forward to us having that discussion with partners on solar energy and environmental benefits and resources.
So many grounds to cover. It is, I'm really just totally psyched because we now have a platform or platforms where we can effectively have the ability to get those who are in position of authority to be able to say, this is a problem, this is an issue we have to tackle, and you need to come to the table to talk about this. No longer can we operate in silos. No longer we can, have leadership in a vacuum. We need to be able to sort of map out that agenda, whatever that agenda is. And it is wide and it is vast. It is we got some heavy lifting to do.
Well,
and go ahead.
What we're doing now, based on what we had planned within the last few weeks, is to go through the Caribbean Basin Initiative, this document, as it's legally the law of our Caribbean community. We wanted to go through all of these initiatives by item. And then what I would recommend is that once we've cleared this agenda, is that we look to see the resources collectively that each of our neighboring islands would have or would be able to provide. For example, where you are in the Virgin Islands in St. Croix, your fiber optics is beyond measure more advanced than many other countries. And so you also have strategically the collaboration of the union of the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, who happen to be U.S. territories within the Caribbean Basin, which would actually be leading in this area for the United States, I believe. And the good thing we have is that, our brilliant state representative from the U.S. territories, who happens to be on the Ways and Means Committee as well. So we really are at a place where I believe Terry says it all the time, that we need to be talking to our leaders to see where and how we can go about advancing these initiatives. So you're right, we have this body, we have the Caribbean, we have CARICOM, we have the IJC. There's so many international bodies that I believe once we've gone through our agenda of this document, then we should identify the leaders within this realm, or economic, environmental, agricultural, and social issues, and see how best we can actually pull together the resources and not just leave it, not just talk about it, but try and get the partners to advance the interests of our people.
So I saw that there was a recent poll done for the I think it's the likelihood of the GOP Republican nominee for 2024, and DeSantis pretty much dominated the poll. He got 60-something% of the poll. Okay, out of 300 people were polled, he got 60-something% of it, beating out Marco Rubio, and Rick Scott. Are you surprised by that?
No, I'm not. But if you listen to this morning's poll, Mitt Romney just said this morning that if Donald Trump gets a chance to run again, he will get the nomination. I'm not sure if you saw that as well.
Say that again?
This morning, I saw a report where Senator Mitt Romney stated that if Donald Trump is allowed to run, he would get the Republican nomination in 2024.
Oh, I see. Yeah. No, but he has, he has a mountain of legal problems. But that's neither here or there, because I'm dubbing him Teflon Don.
Well, he's speaking at the CPAC. I mean, let's just put it this way. I know that this platform is one of nonpartisan reach. Nonetheless, we have an opportunity to speak of our president as U.S. citizens and or preceding presidents, because he still bears the title of president. Regardless of what we see, he's still going down in history as the 45th president, right? And, I happen to live in the state of Florida, where decisions are being made. As a matter of fact, I have to share this with you.
Okay.
We all know that Rush Limbaugh died last week, to cancer. Rush Limbaugh was one who we all know as a radio personality, an extreme Republican, opinionated, a true supporter of Trump and his, in my opinion, propaganda idiocies. But nonetheless, the governor of the state of Florida, DeSantis, has actually requested that flags be lowered for Rush Limbaugh's tribute, for his memorial.
What?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And so, or state, and the reason for that is because he states, now keep in mind, we never lowered the flags for Lewis. We never lowered the flags for anyone else who passed away for civic rights leadership. But he has asked to have the state flags in the state of Florida lowered for Rush Limbaugh, a propaganda, racist, chauvinistic person. I can't begin to describe his prejudices. But the leader of our state representative, our state leader for the Democratic Party has basically opposed it and basically said, no, we won't do this. We will not lower the flags for a person who basically said we should be killed. And it was as horrible things he said about Black people, particularly endorsing the statements that Donald Trump made about us from the Caribbean region and the African continent. So we are really at a place, I personally don't think that anyone else at this point, Donald Trump still sees himself as the Republican representative. And I know, we've heard all the stories about an independent party. It would literally sink the Republican Party if they went three-way. So I think for us, what we need to be doing is really looking at the 4 years we now have to live with and make sure we make all the changes and remedy all the problems we had, particularly for our communities. Small businesses, I know yesterday there was a new initiative for small business owners with employees under 50. That was a piece that many of us did not get to benefit from as small business owners, as you know, as an economist. So I'm looking forward to that piece as well with the new administration's special. Yesterday this happened where Joe Biden made that announcement that they'll be looking for small business allowances and some kind of new initiatives.
Yeah, that's going to take place because former President Trump. Before I say what I say, let me just clarify. When you make the statement of a nonpartisan show, what we're simply saying, this show is about business, the macro as it relates to business, the economy, and public policy. Okay, and as it relates to no matter what side of the fence you're on, every single political view, philosophical views are going to be part of this conversation because it's about shaping public policy. And so whether the guests and the contributors are of the same thinking, same mindset or not when we say nonpartisan, this segment focuses on public policy. So it doesn't matter what side of the table you're on, we will have that conversation because public policy affects all of us. It doesn't matter what you believe, your political point of view, et cetera, et cetera. So I just wanted to clear that up. President Trump on his way out, he was able to pass the $900 billion stimulus bill, right? The CARES Act. Then President Biden has a $1.9 trillion bill that he has, which is going through the different process of approval and then obviously implementation. So the timing of what President Biden said in terms of making sure this time around, because when the window is opened up to replenish the funds that are coming in from the stimulus CARES Act to help small local businesses, lessons learned from the previous stimulus 1 and 2, where we now have a situation of they're taking corrective measures to make sure that the process is going to be all inclusive of making sure every small local mom and pop business on Main Street are going to have the benefit of getting the assistance they need from the SBA with the funding under the Payroll Protection Program Act.
Yeah, that's a big piece of our community. Hi, Terry.
Hi, guys. Technology is great when it works. And I'm glad that you were talking about that, Anthony and Karen, because I just got off of a Zoom call earlier today where the White House administration, they actually, with Cedric Richmond, they actually did a conference around that, and they had some small business owners, and they were explaining the importance of getting that money and also the importance of having the banks now just focus on businesses with under 300 people in the next week or so to make sure that money is available for them and that they're doing what they need to do to get it to them. So that was a really good call. Okay, good. Do me a favor. We need to take a break. When we come back, Karen, could you find out the status of our guests so to make sure that we're good? We'll take a quick break. This is the second segment of the Marketplace Reset Show and Jumpstart, focusing on business, economy, and public policy. We'll be right back. Awesome sauce.
Small business is a part of all of us each and every day. It's where we eat, it's where we shop, it's where we go to meet our friends and colleagues. In the wake of COVID-19, our small business community desperately needs our help. We must do our part to help our local communities to once again thrive. We must focus our attention on the small businesses that are the fabric of our great nation. SureUp is a network of small business owners, their employees, and local consumers all working in unison to support each other. By creating incentives for consumers to think local before considering regional and national providers to fulfill their needs, we create local job opportunities and rebuild our communities. In addition, through AI-driven tools and machine learning, in just 5 minutes a day, SureUp assists business owners in improving their social media presence, which enhances their visibility among consumers and levels the playing field so that local businesses can better compete with large, name-brand online competitors. When local businesses leverage the SureUp platform, full-time and part-time employees, whether W-2 or 1099, are rewarded with a variety of voluntary perks and member benefit options. These include discounts on the things people do every day, access to low-cost, subscription-based telehealth and teletherapy, discounted prescription drug plans, connection to exclusive Prosper resources, and so much more. All for less than the cost of a cup of coffee each day. The Jumpstart Marketplace is here to support the health and wellness of individual employees, as well as the health of businesses in the local communities in which we live and work. We're all in this together, so join us as we reinvigorate our local community and improve the physical and financial health of working America.
PPP became the gap. Seriously, the line between open and close.
Hi, I'm Randy Wistoff, Director of the Kansas City Zoo. We were able to receive a PPP loan through working with a local bank.
The SBA loan has helped us at the perfect time to be able to make payroll.
The PPP loan helped us in a way where we did not have to sacrifice our personal savings.
Thanks to PPP loans, Group Living is able to continue providing needed services to people who have a mental disability.
Hi, this is Claire Otto with Sugar Divas Cakery. PPP money has helped us bring the entire team back.
So with the PPP loan, what it's done is it's really helped us keep our pivot going and keep our people working.
The PPP has certainly helped stabilize this company. It has allowed us to be sure that each employee would receive his or her normal take-home pay so that they're able to carry on with their lives.
Hi, my name is Chris Ayers, and I'm the president of A-List Limousine and Transportation. Because of the SBA loan, we were able to bring most of our employees back, and we're excited to say that we're making a difference in our community.
Long story short, PPP came along, allowed us to bring back furloughed workers.
The PPP loan helped us expedite the process of bringing our weekend employees back quickly, so they were only out for a month.
We're happy to report the zoo is open again. We couldn't have done this without the help of the SBA and the PPP loan.
It relieved the pressure off of having to meet a certain sales goal.
Things just popped quick. We now have up to 13 people working, and that is within, I'm going to say, about a 7-day period. And we're able to do that because of the PPP.
We were able to keep all of our staff thanks to the PPP loan that we were able to secure.
The PPP loan we applied for and we got, which has been incredibly helpful.
Once the PPP came in, I was super excited because the funds were there to take care of staff.
The PPP coming in was a huge release.
And so if not for the PPP, we would have really suffered. It would have been horrible. We were able to bring back dozens of employees much earlier than, had we not had PPP.
Yeah, if it wasn't for that program, I don't know where we would be right now. Because it took a lot of weight off of us.
And the PPP really has been instrumental in helping us fill that gap.
Having that paycheck protection has actually really took some stress off of them as well.
PPP was a true lifeline.
Thank you for what you do for America.
So thank you so much to everybody.
Thanks, SBA.
The Paycheck Protection Program has been an incredibly successful federal disaster response, thanks to the President's leadership and the combined efforts of the U.S. Treasury Department and the SBA.
All right, folks, we are back. Thank you so much for bearing with us. We need to take a break. We had some guests scheduled. I'm not sure what is the status. I don't want to continue. I'm mindful of the clock. Are they going to be on? Not going to be on? So we know how to manage the time here.
I think we should proceed. I know they were dealing with some Guyanese. There was a business session. I think they're probably not able to get off from that previous meeting. So we will continue because they are dealing with a crisis in Guyana, and they made the time to be on our program today. So we will We will apologize to our guests for the advertisement and just wish them the best in Guyana, given the crisis that they're dealing with.
Okay.
So I think we should continue with the subject that we're on. I think we can continue to proceed on until we hear from them. We just want to wish them well. I know that there was in fact an issue where there were fishermen off the coast of Guyana that were detained at one point by Venezuela, saying that they were in the wrong territory of the water. So they're really dealing with an issue there.
Okay.
Let's continue to wish Guyana well and the region as a whole. We talk about diplomacy. This Immigration Act that we're all seeing, Terry, manifest. People from the Caribbean and Central and South America are really, really one of the primary folks who get to experience this crisis, because others have to cross continents to get here.
Mm-hmm.
But folks that are right in our backyard are really suffering from all the diplomacy challenges that we're seeing, and we're just going to support our people. Yeah.
Absolutely.
What do you think? So a little bit of a background on the Virgin Islands. For several years, Hess Oil or Hess Oil Virgin Islands, HOVIC, partnered with PDVSA, the Venezuelan state oil company, to create Hovenza.
Mm-hmm.
That relationship no longer exists, and it literally ended the operation of the refinery in 2012, I believe it was, either 2011, 2012.
Right.
And so it's interesting that when you look at what's happening between Venezuela and Guyana potentially have an opportunity. The U.S. Virgin Islands, particularly St. Croix, and the asset we have, the refinery that sits in St. Croix, for many years were considered one of the top 5 largest oil refineries in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. For almost 50 years,
mm-hmm.
we've had I believe at the height of the production of that refinery, the refinery was the output, the production of refined oil was at 650,000 barrels per day. That refinery was responsible for stimulating $19 billion a year in sales
mm-hmm.
For the refinery. It was the largest private sector employer in the territory. It after the 2017 Irma Maria hurricane disaster, it was revealed in 2012, once the refinery closed is
right.
when we realized that even though tourism accounted for 60% of the total gross domestic product for the Virgin Islands, the refinery was the largest contributor to the treasury.
Really?
Only when the refinery closed is when they realized how much revenue
mm-hmm.
that were being generated just by virtue of having that operation on St. Croix, but it literally benefited the entire Virgin Islands.
Anthony, let me interject there, because we saw firsthand as people visiting the territories, Terry and I, the almost ghost town in effect. There were housing that was attached to that property.
That's right.
And a lot of everything was funded there. But what's interesting is that, and I could see there were people, this affected so many people in the territories, because people left because there were no more job opportunities to come to the mainland.
Mm-hmm.
Students had different choices of tenure as well. But this is not unique to the territory, to the U.S. Virgin Islands alone. This also happened in Trinidad with Shell in Point Fortin, the southern part of Trinidad, back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
That was the same kind of devastation that occurred, where people literally, it became a ghost town. The industry and commerce changed for them too.
Mm-hmm.
But the good thing is, and which is why I'm excited about that too, Anthony, people like yourself and those like Terry, who have been behind the economic development of these regions, we've seen what happened since with Trinidad.
Mm-hmm.
Trinidad did a turnaround. And other than dealing with the reliance on Shell as a contributor for economy, they turn around and basically did everything else. We could, within that region, Trinidad, basically Sagicor, they took over the financial industries, the travel industries, even allocate, did, a lot of, they transitioned into so many other industries. The airlines, for one, they basically took over Air Jamaica. So we are hopeful that with this kind of enterprising mindset, Anthony, that I really hope that it's so important that Guyana gets this right, because we all need to learn from each other's mistakes, as you said earlier, and basically support each other along the path of our development. Yeah.
And the reason I bring this point up is because potentially the discovery of the oil reserve, the deposit that was discovered, Guyana is now one of the richest country in the world.
That's right. As
it relates to the natural resources of the oil they discovered, and so while the Virgin Island has very little, and I say that very generously, in terms of natural resources. And when I say natural resources, don't take offense to it. Natural resources can be defined in so many different ways. I'm talking about natural resources as it relates to minerals. Okay, that Guyana has the potential to be a huge partner for our refinery in terms of the supplying of where Venezuela supplied the heavy crude that was more expensive to process, and the cost to operate the refinery is exuberant, where Guyana now has an oil reserve of sweet crude, which is easier to process. And with the huge reserve of oil they have, having the capacity to refine the oil is something that we need to pay close attention to, because that refinery is a huge economic driver for the Virgin Islands in terms of job creation.
That's right.
But specifically in terms of the ability to generate income from the private sector. And so therefore, when we look at trade relationship, geopolitical relationship for the Virgin Islands with Guyana, while the relationship came to an end with Venezuela and the closure of Hovenza, we now have the opportunity to develop and forge a relationship with Guyana. Absolutely. But the question is, we as a territory, we are impacted, we are affected by whatever the U.S. policy is. So we can't usurp, we can't go in our own direction. Whatever the U.S. policy is towards any of those countries, we are affected by it. So we have to pay attention to the tea leaves to see how things are going to go, because at the end of the day, if those two are at odds with each other, if there's a conflict there, the question is, what is going to be the U.S. disposition policy-wise in both those two countries? And the reason for that is because China is a huge investor in both Venezuela and Guyana. And so they have a vested interest in these two countries that are at odds, and it would be interesting to see how China relate and position themselves with these two countries, where they have invested billions of dollars in terms of their relationship with Guyana and Venezuela. I don't know what your position is, ladies, but that's just a little bit background, a little bit of a color in terms of why this is important for the Virgin Islands, because we have a man-made resource, the infrastructure of the refinery. We have a man-made fiber optic landing station. We don't have the natural resource, but we have man-made resources that we carry a big stick. But if we don't understand that stick we carry, then we're going to completely miss the boat.
Right. And it's all about positioning, Anthony. You're absolutely correct. It's very much about positioning. So we're watching what's going on in Guyana, and we're really hopeful that that things are going to pan themselves out, and that Virgin Islands can be a resource. I know when we left the first part of the segment, I was talking about the America Rescue Plan, and just wanted to give you a little more details about that call today. So as we know, being a part of the marketplace, the economy is very important in getting jobs and making sure that the money on the ground is important. So the American Rescue Plan is actually $1.9 trillion that the government is looking to put into the hands of those in need. So 20 billion of that is going to be for veterans, and 130 billion is going to be for schools. And I think that that's really important. The 130 that's going to schools is important to us that are now working from home, that are now looking to transition back into the workplace. So having the children in a safe and secure place is really important across the country, right? Unemployment, they're talking about putting $400 in everyone's hand for unemployment a week, and the unemployment insurance, and 11 million of that. So we're talking about going back to business. And that's when we just had that highlight on the Paycheck Protection Program. So now the banks are now focusing for the next couple of weeks on small businesses, focusing on those small businesses to make sure that they are able to get access to the Paycheck Protection Program monies so that they can get back to work. The other thing that we're looking at here in New York and in New Jersey, which is really important, is increasing the number of individuals that will be able to go into the restaurants. The restaurants are hurting. And so there's more funding coming down for restaurants. And then also increasing the numbers going back into schools, having the children go back to school. So all of those things are really important. And on the marketplace, we're always talking about how to jumpstart the economy, how to make sure that the small businesses are getting what they need. And so this is just some information that was shared today on the call, and 350 billion of that is going to go to the state and local governments to make sure that they're doing what they need to do within the United States and the territories. So I'm pretty excited about that.
I have a question on that. Before the first distribution or allocation went to the large banks,
right?
Small banks and credit unions, was there any conversation as to these smaller banks being able to participate? Or did it just basically say that it was open to?
This is scary. This is scary because I was going to make a comment, and here you go now, literally getting ahead of what you were in my head for a second there. The reason I say that, I'm really super excited for both of you and the role you play in public policy, but in particular the role of Terry as being part of this team. We heard from our colleagues, both Linda and Carolyn, in the Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, right? Mm-hmm. That's the partnership we have in terms of being the face, being the voice, the platform for the private sector, in terms of being able to kind of really steer the conversation. Terry is in the New York Tri-State area. She has, in terms of our ability to have that conversation, to provide that platform, to really allow ourselves to be able to understand what's happening within that space, that market. And you are in Florida, Karen. We are going to shortly, the marketplace is now going to have the ability to partner with one of the banks that was considered, they were the 5th largest distributor of the PPP funding on the last couple of tranches, okay? So we're forging a partnership with them. So we're gonna have the ability, the marketplace, to be able to create a distribution channel for what you just asked, Karen, about how does the other banks or smaller banks participate? Why what I'm saying is important? We're now going to have the power or the ability to be able to channel the next set of funds, which is of the $9 billion out of the rescue plan, $9 billion are going to be directed to minority and small local financial institutions. Okay, and so we're going to have an opportunity that the marketplace, Terry in the New York Tri-State area, Karen in Florida, Linda and Carolyn in the Washington D.C. area. We're going to be at the table. We're now going to have the ability to be able to serve as a platform and as a vehicle to help small and local businesses who need that fund. We're going to be able to help channel those funds. Wonderful. So I wanted. It's funny that you said that, and it soon come. So when we talk about what the marketplace is, the marketplace is going to be a total turnkey solution.
That's right.
And we thought it'll be all encompassing to help those businesses that we can partner with, providing them with the tool and the resource they need to help them to succeed.
And that's important. That's important. And that's one of the other things that came out of conversation. They were talking about full employment, trying to make sure that we have full employment by the end of the year. And I think that was extremely important. So having the marketplace as that vehicle, businesses are able to get the access to the tools, and having that bank is really going to be key.
Okay. No, she's there. Not there was some background noise. I was like, what the heck is all that noise?
I'm sorry. We've got a Black Finance in Florida virtual conference happening today.
Oh, nice.
So I've been back end on that part, trying to get that going. And so I'm sorry. I just got to jump in. I'm like Wesley from last week.
It's funny that you say that, because your timing is interesting, because we were talking about, when you talk about Black finance, right? If you can, I mean, we only have like I think it's like 5-6 minutes left. But share with us what's that about, because we just finished talking about the role we're going to play. We're going to help facilitate bringing those PPP funds. We're going to help facilitate making those funds available. And so, talk to us a little bit about what you're doing right now.
Well, perfect. Well, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Black Business Investment Fund. They're actually they started off in Orlando approximately 20 years ago. And they were developed from a need where they saw that Blacks in business were not being treated equitably, especially in terms of raising money. When they got into the field, what they realized is they might have given the money, but the Blacks in business needed training. So they set up a program where they source the money and they provide the training. So they become essentially a board of directors that helps you as a business owner. A lot of solo entrepreneurs, you have to propose, you do your business plan. They help you with that. You sit with your board of directors and you want to go in this direction, but perhaps that's not the direction you should be going in. So you have this group of talented advisors around you, and they keep ensuring you have the monies available as you grow once you're doing the right thing. What we gathered today, though, was a group of, they're called CDFIs, Community Development Fund. Terry knows, right? Groups. And so from Chicago to New York, they all weighed in on the state of Black finance in the US. The reason why it's necessary, even 20 years later, to have that in place, the people who are funding, and the way that you can access those funds. And so what I'll do is I'll share that program with you all, because we've done it, it's produced, it's on a network where you can actually access it after today. So I will send that to you all to see, because it is, again, dealing with people who do CDFIs in various cities.
What is your relationship with this group? In what capacity? And the reason I'm asking is because, like I said, we're gonna be the facilitator of the funds to be able to make funding available for Black businesses, minority business, people of color, women businesses, local business, mom and pop, Main Street business, you name it. Okay, so. What is your formal relationship with them? And
so my relationship is as long as I've actually been in the chamber and been around in Orlando, about 10 years, I've been working with BBIF. What I've realized is a lot of times people get the money, but they can't find the people. I help to find the people. So my role today was creating the audience. BBIF is great at what they do. They do great loans. They do great presentations. But if you don't have the people to present it to, it's a waste. I've actually worked with the Urban League and seen them return monies for lack of people to give it to. And that's a problem. It's a problem. There are a lot of organizations out there that get money, but they have a problem finding qualified people to give that money to, and so they return it. And so sometimes the narrative is not always true in terms of what we hear with money not coming down. Sometimes the people who get it just don't know who to get it to.
Well, that's
So
interesting.
my job as a marketing company with many feet, I work with many nonprofits, many associations, many business leaders of all cultures. I just tap into them, ask them to share it with their databases, get people who are in need of this money to the table.
You know, Ghana, that's really interesting because I deal with a lot of small businesses that don't have that money, right? So I think that one of the things that we can do here on the marketplace, you know, I'm always thinking of opportunities for the marketplace, is to have something on the website where individual small businesses that are listening to us with the tools and tips on the week, they can go into they can go into the marketplace, Jumpstart the Economy, and click on to information about some of those companies that are trying to get the money to the door. I think that would be a great asset to the program.
Absolutely. That will be that's it's very shortly. We're going to roll that out, Terry, and I'm looking forward to your wealth of experience and knowledge in that area to help guide and shape that. And obviously, as a former banker, you know, like Gwinnett said, you know, I had a war chest, right? I had $300 million of my investors to invest in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And a lot of time, it wasn't the fact that we had the investors, we had the money, we had to fund it. The question is finding qualified, applicants, if you will, for that. So I'm hoping that this time around, that this program, we're going to have the ability to make funding available across the country.
That's right. Beautiful.
Not just in the Virgin Islands. And so we're working with one of the biggest partners in that space, FDIC, SBI lenders, to be able to make that possible. So I'm really looking forward to the good that we're going to be able to do in this process. But ladies, unfortunately, Gwinnett, you've come at the end of the program. My colleagues, Karen and Terry, we were able to fill the void. We tried filling your shoe. I just want you to know.
Not possible.
And I'm hoping that we can circle back. Obviously, you wear many hats, so it's not just the Guyana situation. No. But there's a lot in terms of your contribution to the program, and look forward to your role and your contribution in that capacity. So
thanks. I just want to add, I maybe putting it in this way, I am Pan-African, right? In that view. So whatever that leads into, that's where I stand.
Fantastic.
God bless you all. We'll talk to you soon. Take care, guys.
All right.
We'll talk to you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.